All right, everybody. Good afternoon. Except there's not going to be a lot good about it. The Seahawks just released a game status report for the game on Sunday against the Rams, and it's not what we wanted to see. It's not what we needed to see. So it's not really a good afternoon in any measurable way if you're a Seahawks fan. But we got to talk about it. Got to go through it. So let's go ahead and break it down. Again, this is only game status. This is not practice. This is not the practice report. We'll get that later. But honestly, what we know as of right now is more than enough to make some unfortunate conclusions. So Curtis Crabtree tweeted this out just a couple minutes ago, and you can already see from what he actually tweeted the bad news. But let's go ahead and just take a look at the game statuses. And yeah, DK Metcalf is out with a knee. Let's keep in mind, a week ago, he went into that Bills game at the very least doubtful, right? Like, he was doubtful. So he went backwards, if anything. And I assume that he didn't practice today. If he practiced at all, I'm sure he'd be at least doubtful, if not questionable. But man went backwards. So that's not a super encouraging sign even beyond this game. Now, we have a bye week after this week, so I think that he'll probably play for our next game, but this makes you wonder. This makes you question whether or not we're doing things the right way if he goes backwards over the course of a week where he's not even practicing. So, right then and there, a lot of the air goes out of the balloon. And I'm going to say this. When I did my show with the Hawks Nest yesterday, I said I thought we were going to find a way to win this game. I don't think that anymore. Just going to go ahead and spoil that. Without Metcalf, this offense doesn't really work the way it needs to work. And I'm not really believing we're going to be able to overcome the garbage that the defense is producing with no DK Metcalf. He's an equalizer, a flawed player that we ultimately really need out there because his impact from snap to snap is massive. So that right then and there is enough. I don't even necessarily need to break down the rest, but I will. Cam Young is also out, and that's fine, right? He doesn't really play that much anyway. Abe Lucas is out, but that was expected. We're not going to get him back till after the bye week, and I do think we probably will after the bye week, but him not playing this week is expected. Unfortunately, the bad news doesn't end there because Noah Fant, who I guess aggravated a groin injury this week, is out. So I will say this. This might give a window for A.J. Barner to go out there and show what he can do, and I'm not against that. But in the absence of DK Metcalf, I would have really liked to have my athletic tight end one out there. And now we don't. So maybe we could survive not having Noah Fant if we had Metcalf, but I think that the impact of not having your athletic TE1 is going to be felt pretty emphatically with no Metcalf out there as well. So this is bad news. This is quite simply not what we needed to see, not what we needed to hear. And it's going to be really hard to muster up optimism for this upcoming game. And without winning this game, it's going to be hard to muster up optimism for the rest of the season. But it's the hand that we've been dealt. Okay, so nobody's listed as doubtful. We do have one questionable player, and this came out of absolute nowhere today. And this is the kind of stuff that makes people wonder about the strength and conditioning coach. This is the stuff that makes people wonder what the heck we're doing in practice. Ernest Jones IV, out of nowhere, shows up as questionable with a neck injury after not being listed as any kind of concern at all during the week. So what happened here? Who knows? But this is obviously not something we need to see either. If this defense is going to start playing better anytime soon, Ernest Jones IV is probably a big part of that, right? Because he's one of the new players. He's one of the guys you got because the guys you had weren't getting it done. So now we have to deal with this for the next couple days. Just hope he's going to be able to play. If he can't play, then things just get worse and worse. And I mean, it's not a super long list, but what we have here is devastating enough, right? Not having two of our more dynamic offensive playmakers here is really kind of almost, it almost doesn't matter what the rest of this stuff says, right? That's bad enough on its own. Now, there is some good news here. As you can see, there's nobody else listed with a game status. That includes George Fant. So we may see George Fant this weekend against the Rams. That's cool, right? You're not seeing Boye Mafe listed here. You're not seeing, Leonard Williams. You're not seeing Tyler Lockett. So they're close to 100% at this point. But, man, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to really feel great about this one, given these statuses. And that's it for the Seahawks side of things. Now, the Rams, to my knowledge, have not released an official injury report, but we already kind of know what's going on over there. We did get this from Sarah Barshop, passing along something that Sean McVay said about Puka. There's nothing structurally wrong. He'll be listed as questionable, but I wouldn't bet against this guy. My expectation is he's going to do everything in his power to be ready to roll, and that's the mindset that we have. So this actually sounds like he's priming the pump for Puka to not play, or at least not play a lot. So the Rams might be down their own top receiver. So they've got their own problems. Remember, they're missing 2 starters on the offensive line. They're missing a starting safety. They should have Cooper Kupp back, and that's not a small thing. But it is worth noting that the way McVay is wording his comments on Puka, it sounds like there's a very real chance he does not play. So that's significant. I'm not going to deny that. The problem is the problems with this defense are more focused on their inability to stop the run and inability to force the other team into passing situations. So you don't even get to the point of the game where Puka is really going to matter that much because you're so bad at the initial stages, right? You need to get past Kyren Williams before you get to a Puka mattering that much. And I didn't see anything else. I think the Rams are going to be down a punter, so they're probably going to have to bring in a new punter. Ethan Evans is going to be out. But to the best of my knowledge, they're not going to have Neville Gallimore, but he doesn't play that much anyway. Not a big part of what they do on defense. You've got Whittington and Cam Curl. I think those guys are going to play, but I haven't seen anything official yet. But again, I'm making this video now because who really cares? Who cares about that stuff? We're missing 2 of our most dynamic playmakers on offense. Like, at this point, it's almost like, unless the Rams are missing 6 starters out of nowhere on defense, you're not going to make up for that. We saw what the offense looks like with no Metcalf against Buffalo. Okay, so that's the challenge this weekend, and I'm not looking forward to it, but it's the challenge we got. All right, I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. More videos later. And, yeah, not fun.